All right. So the first maskless week in about 15 months. What'd you do?
I went to the grocery store once, felt weird. Went to Target, felt okay. And then I wore a mask again, Bill. I remasked up. Weird. I went to gym Friday, put the mask back on.
It's weird, right? Because I went into the gym, no one masked, not a single person. Gym was full. Maybe like one or two people that were older. But when I walked in, the employees weren't even wearing masks. So I was like, all right, I can rock with this. And then I went into the Target in Medford, not a lot of masks. Went into the Target in Everett, ton of masks. Went out into Boston Saturday night with Mac from the Mac and Gru program.
Is that a new podcast, Mac and Gru?
Mac and Goo program. I was trying to say program weird. I think I wound up saying goo weird. But and JC of the Jobber Knocker, take a drink. It was wild. It was wall to wall people for the Bruins game. It was like nothing. It was even more packed than before COVID.
Would you say it was electric?
It was, and I am not really a hockey fan anymore. And somebody told me Pastrnak had a hat trick, and I was like, "Oh, Bruins won. Good for them." I didn't even notice.
Bill, there's a lot of things we gotta love about you, but you're a fandom of hockey. Again, once famously said, "I'd have to pay you to join me at a Bruins game,"
and that was before.
Well, if you talk to the average teenager of today and you ask them what it is about pop culture that they like, and the first thing they'll say is the beat.
Get yourself addicted. Get yourself addicted.
Welcome into the Pop Culture Pile Driver. Get addicted to the content. I am Jason Rossi. Can be followed along at Jason D. Rossi across all social media platforms. Our little program here at Pop Culture PD. We are not the police. We just have only a certain amount of categories or characters we can play with in Twitter handles. And if you do follow Pop Culture PD, it will instantly make you not get cut off. And with me, as always, is my tag team partner in the podcast sphere. He can be followed at Billy D2411 across all social media platforms, including the OnlyFans, which, by the way, I just found out has gone up to $9.99 a month. But if you use the promo code Billy's Big D, right now you can get it for $2.99 for the next 6 months. Again, that's Billy's Big D over at his OnlyFans. He is Billy D. What's going on, man?
Hello. Usually I run like a 33 or 50% off anyways. So there's always deals. Check the link in my bio. That has the link to all of our socials and our merch as well. So check that out. And today, Rossi, we're talking about something I've always loved and held near and dear to my heart, and that is entrances.
Yes, we are going to be talking some entrances and wrestling, which, we can get into some of the conversation here. It's like, what is more important and what makes a good wrestler? I think an entrance can be bigger than a wrestler in some of the cases, as you'll see on our list, and some can be like, you don't really think of their entrance, but they're still some of the greatest of all time. We'll get into that. And if you have found us or stumbled upon us, you're like, what are these dudes? You can subscribe and review over on iTunes. We are the Pop Culture Pile Drive. You can find on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you find your podcasts. And right now, if you're listening to us out loud, Alexa, play Pop Culture Pile Driver. And it will actually do that. It's pretty cool. Subscribe and like over on YouTube, and you can check us out as part of the Dork Shared Gooniverse over on Facebook. Search Dork Shared Gooniverse. Like it, you get us, you get Dork and Goo. That's the new spinoff as well. You get us, you get the Dork podcast, you get Mac and Goo, you get Change My Mind, you get the streamers who be streaming, the Twitchers.
And you get hashtag and Mac.
Oh, I like those guys too. That's a hot new podcast. That's killing it. As Billy did mention, you can check out our merch at TeePublic. Search Pop Culture Pile Driver. And our music brought to you by the band of the summer, the group of the summer. Oh, yeah? Is that what?
Oh, yeah. I would agree in the name and in that statement. Oh, yeah.
Dig it all. Podcast nonprofit is Frank Says Hi. You can check out franksayshi.com as we are less than 2 weeks away from this hair and beard going bye-bye. We're going to raise some funds over for the One Mission for kids with cancer, and also raise some funds for Frank Says Hi. I'll send some links out on the socials, and Billy D will give a portion of his OnlyFans to that as well. Bill, last time we were together, it feels like it was a month and a half ago, but we did the 2003 music with the jukebox, and Into Club, Bill, has just been locked in for the song of 2003. It won with 59.5% of the vote. Audio Slave, Like a Stone, even though it was dumb and almost forgot about it, 32.4. And then Santana, Why Don't You and I, 5.4. And Can't Stop, Won't Stop, 2.7. So In the Club, Bill, your jam, made it in.
It did make it in, but Can't Stop, Won't Stop clearly was easily stopped. But, 50 Cent getting 59% of the vote, I think we saw that coming from a mile away because it is, the only song I think that was a number one that we had nominated so far. But, like I said, that year, the top of the charts actually matched my musical interest. Usually I'm a little more, down the charts kind of guy. I just roll like that. I'm a little hip to the streets. I like it before it's really cool. And then the charts finally caught up. So, 50 Cent, there was so many great songs. It was, the coming of age, our senior year in high school. So it was a ton of fun.
It was a great year of music. So In the Club has made it into the annals of time. Will be locked in for everyone to remember as part of the Pop Culture Pile Driver Jukebox. As you mentioned off the top today, we are talking top 11 wrestling entrances. And this is not like the one-offs. This is not like, Triple H at WrestleMania 30 or, The Undertaker at that one. We're talking about the week-to-week overall entrance. So you can kind of see where we go in this. This list was not easy to make. I know you sent me yours. It was a little while ago, and I took a long time to really decipher, debate, and put a list together here, Bill. But for you, was it easy, quick? Things just came to mind, threw them in a list. How did it kind of the process go for you?
Yeah, I didn't look at a single actual outside list for this, and the way that I did it was the complete entrance and all of the entrances they have too. If they have some special ones here and there, that adds into it a little bit. The music, the way they walk to the ring. The wrestler really had nothing to do with it. To me, this is just how do you set the tone before the bell rings? And for the most part, 95% of this list, maybe even 100% of the list that we finally hammered out, they can all go, some of the greats of all time. But I think that, my number one, definitely not even close to my favorite wrestler of all time. And if you had watched the Unreasonable Odds podcast, our guy Steve Buchanan said Billy D had a great entrance. And my number one was a shout out to that entrance. So entrances are huge. You see them mimicked in real sports all the time, or non-scripted, should we say, non-sports entertainment. In, certain movies, they'll bust out like Stone Cold, Double Birds, or, clashing the beers together. There was a great one of a kid smashing two glass bottles together. So this is in pop culture everywhere. And they're just so much fun. And that's half the fun of going to one of these events, is getting to see your favorite wrestler's entrance live.
I absolutely agree. And I think coming right out hot with number 11 to kick off the Podcasters Dozen is an entrance that you see often memed with anything that has smoke in it. Like some people, there's a really famous one where a woman's cooking and the whole kitchen is engulfed in smoke, and the way people edit, like yourself, the magicians out there like Billy D, maybe no one better, you see this man emerge from the smoke and Megalomaniac hit, and I don't even know if that's exactly how you say the name of the song, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to move along quick. Number 11 is Edge.
Metal Linkus? I don't know. I always call it something weird. But it's on this day.
Oh.
Even his old entrances, and spoiler alert, he'll be on this list again. Oh yeah. And he had a great build up. It was just this guy walking around the streets, just this weird cat. But his entrance at the Royal Rumble was one of the greatest pops of all time when he came back about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, 2020.
He did have the tag team entrance for a long time with Christian, and even that was good. And why this guy is so good? Because he is electric charisma from start to finish. He looks like the guy from Puddle of Mud. He looks like an absolute legitimate rock star. He's 6'7", so he just has that. Yeah, whatever. He has that presence when he comes to the ring. He's just an exciting wrestler, and his entrance matches everything about him, and it's just so fun to see this guy live. And when he did the Rated R bit, I couldn't have been any more in on him.
Yeah, electric. He was absolutely electric. You mentioned it, charisma from head to toe. Just looks like a star in that entrance. Come running out as a heel or a babyface. As a heel, he would come out slow, cocky, just kind of walk through the smoke. As a babyface, come storming out, hyping up the crowd, gets you really into it. And there's something about a little flair, if you would, to his entrance with all the barrel of smoke and that's just that drum lead in it.
Oh, and he had he had a lot of good pyro throughout his career. The smoke eventually as well, and we won't. Becky Lynch, spoiler alert, didn't make it on this list, but she also had some great smoke, kind of a similar entrance. And the thing I loved about him too, and it goes into a little bit of the entrance as well, is he had that big long leather duster that he looked freaking fantastic
in. Good call. So all that put together, quite the entrance, and one of the fine in-ring individuals as well. Coming in at number 10 is someone a little more new school and someone that was doing it across, I guess I wouldn't just say across the pond, across countries, doing it in Japan, in the UK scene. You would see his entrance at like Wrestle Kingdoms in a minor role, not main eventer. Came to WWE and they found a way to make his entrance cool as hell. Not the commentary around his entrance, but if you just mute the commentary and just watch this man come out, the lights, the entrance music, maybe one of the best, more modern day entrance music there is. Number 10, Finn Balor.
Bum, bum, bum. His music, and obviously that's probably 70% of entrances, and we already did the greatest music of all time. Maybe just the decade, actually. I think we did the 2010s.
We did the 2010s, top 11 themes of that decade.
So all time, we could do a draft. I know we did the 64 for a March Madness as well. But his theme, phenomenal, the way he does the arms. I'm always a little worried that he's never going to hit the last one when he gets to the ring because he waits so long to climb to the top of the post. But, when he's the demon and he has all the different disguises. I remember our guy, Nestle, from the Jobberknocker. And when we talk wrestling, I just bring up the Jobberknocker, so take a drink. But he showed me his entrance at Wrestle Kingdom where he came out in a coffin. And I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And I was like, this guy's awesome. Let's get him to WWE. And his entrances at NXT were always phenomenal. And he is, again, another great performer in the ring. But he really sets the tone. And the whole crowd goes and does the arms up thing. When he does the arms up thing, it's a really fun thing to be a part of. And I think that's another thing. The fan interaction with an entrance can help. And this is definitely one of those guys.
Yeah, being at several WrestleManias, watching this man come out with the whole crowd putting their arms up, it's really cool. Now currently being an NXT guy, he doesn't actually use the same method for his entrance because it's just obviously in the pandemic, smaller crowd. It's different, and he has more of like an attitude to him. So it's still very cool. The music hits, and again, when he comes out as the demon, it just brings a whole nother element. The music doesn't change, but the whole ambiance does. He's done the like Jack the Ripper. He's done Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He's done really, really bad.
Joker-esque one too, I think, once, right?
I believe so. At this point, it's been so long since we've seen the Demon. He did it at WrestleMania 35, and I want to say that may have been the last time, or that SummerSlam when he beat King Corbin. But either way, we have not seen the Demon in quite a while. Coming in at number 9, I really like. It was funny. I'll be honest. I was influenced by your list because I didn't have them on my list. Then I really thought about it because this transcends years and different makings. But I think the 1998 version with the full 5-piece of this group was one of the most iconic there's ever been. That is D-Generation X.
Break it down. The song, they had a horrible entrance at WrestleMania 14 with Austin. I hate when they ever do the live band. Live band almost never works unless it's like Limp Bizkit. Move in, not move out. But it is such a great entrance. Shawn Michaels just owned the moment. Triple H too. Two guys who, in their own right have great individual entrances. But again, it's just the presence. It's the Attitude Era, and these guys were all about attitude. And they kind of had that cool thing where they would intercut their live walk down to the ring with their actual entrance video, which I think the NWO tried it a little bit at one point, but to me, I think this was the first time that was done in professional wrestling. And obviously you don't see that live, but watching it home, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like you said, just that long boom, boom, boom. It's like 2 minutes before we even hear the break it down. And then the group comes out. You had Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, Chyna, X-Pac, Triple H. At times, even during that time, Shawn Michaels. Don't forget, these are also guys making their entrances, doing goofs on the Nation of Domination at times. They were doing spoofs on the Corporation. And later, when it was just Triple H and and Shawn Michaels in 06, I believe, they were bringing this back and they did their own spin on these. Again, it was just iconic because you never really knew. And it, like legit 97, really never knew what was going to happen. But DX iconic, and you could even spin this like I had New Age Outlaws originally. That's what I traded.
Oh, you didn't know?
I had that originally because that entrance is amazing. It is just Road Dogg spitting bars for a few minutes. Then eventually,
the Road Dogg, Jesse James, the badass Billy Gunn, Page. I mean, but like you also had the "Let's Get Ready to Suck It." Like they owned it from start to finish, and they had the good pyro while they were in the ring doing the crotch chops. Like that's that is to me like Joel Embiid did that last weekend on the ground after he scored a big basket. It is still relevant to this very day in pop culture.
It really is. It's an amazing, amazing tribute to those guys and what they've been able to do. So to this day, one of the most iconic entrances. Number 8, I think honestly, there's very few wrestlers. There's one other on this list that like the in-ring part, take it all aside because this entrance was epic, and that is Goldberg. Maybe not to this day, but still amazing.
Again, a very different presentation, and this goes to. Can we call it the genius? Is Eric Bischoff a genius? Probably not. Maybe a little bit.
I still think he is. I still think for innovation and the things that they did, like I consider anybody who runs a wrestling organization is close to a genius if you got to the point where you made millions of dollars. That's my opinion.
So, I mean, when I hear him and I listen to him on the Conrad podcast, what is it?
83 weeks.
83 weeks. He always talks a good game. Like he sounds like, oh, I like this guy. I respect his opinions. And then like you see him do stuff today and you're like, yeah, he's kind of dumb. But I mean, the entrance of Goldberg, we'll get back to it. The start to finish, the part where he comes out of the locker room, he headbutts the thing. The music is incredible. The guy owns it. The sparklers or whatever the hell they're spraying on him there. I mean, besides the Disco Inferno and Das Wonder Kid, I don't think that the WCW had many iconic themes. They were all kind of like Casio keyboard, Mickey Mouse. They took out the big budget for the Goldberg one, and it helped sell him because this guy in the ring, as you said, probably the biggest dud on our list wrestling-wise, but it really didn't matter. He had the jackhammer, he had the spear, and he had this entrance, and that's really all you needed.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think 100% agree with you. The WCW really did lack when we went to the very second ever AEW show here in Boston, we both talked about this sitting there. We agreed like they lack with entrance music. Now AEW Smart Bill, they're buying out music, like actual songs. So they have the Greg Vaughn. Where is that? No, what is his name? Vaughn from Major League.
Rick the Wild Thing Vaughn.
Sorry, wow.
And one.
So that's John Moxley's theme now. His Wild Thing that he comes out to.
See, it's cool. And, CM Punk, who didn't make our list, had a real one as well. But I kind of don't like that because you can, like, catch a wave of excitement by this song alone. Like, some of these songs are played in arenas today. Like, Triple H's Let's Play the Game.
Yes.
That is played in arenas to this very day to start freaking games.
It's a puck-dropping song to this day for multiple. I'm watching a lot of NHL playoffs, and you're hearing it across.
They play it at the Celtics game before they do the intros. So
crazy, right?
It's something to behold in your company if you can take it from your arena and put it into real sports arenas, and people are like, oh, what is this? So I like the fact that they're at least being a little aggressive, but just go out and get somebody who does it right. Because it is such a cool thing if your guy is synonymous. And there's so many WWE superstars that are synonymous not only by, their name and what they do in the ring, but by their entrance and their music.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It is true. And that, but like, I will give AEW credit because instead of just like, if you don't have like what you think is the juice, if you don't have the Jim Johnsons or the CFO dollar signs at this point, like, just swing with something else and buy the rights. They did it, for several guys. Jungle Boy now comes out to the song Jungle Boy from the 80s, which had a huge reaction in the first live crowd. But another song that just kicks, and this one is all you. This was your doing on this list because I didn't look at this as I think his top end entrances is epic, iconic, but I have to give one thing that I didn't put into credit till this moment. Singing your own song that becomes iconic, and it doesn't get any better than I Think I'm Cute, I Know I'm Sexy. HBK, the Heartbreak Kid. He was recently on an A&E, one of their document series that they're doing, which was excellent. But HBK, music hits. He's also a part of it.
Sean. Like, I Think I'm Cute, I Know I'm Sexy. I got the moves. So I came out to this at my first of many weddings. So it is just, to me, one of the greatest entrances because he's so charismatic and dynamic throughout the entire entrance. And then when he gets to the ring, you know, he had really cool fireworks with it as well. He had some.
I miss those like baby fireworks.
Yeah, it was cool. Like he had the whole thing taken off the ring garb as well. Everything that he did, he lacked in promos a lot throughout his career, but he sold you in the ring one of the all-time greatest in-ring performers. I would put him up there with, you know, the best of the best, with honors, sir. You know, AJ Styles, Bret Hart, all of those guys. But his entrance really did set the tone, whether he was a good guy, a bad guy, and even in DX. So this guy has technically 2 entrances on this thing because he was charisma, ready to go right out of the can from even before the bell start. Once you heard the, Sean, like it was fucking on.
That was Billy having sex with a man named Sean. Coming in now at number 6, another one that oozes charisma, maybe one of the better, like HBK, someone that we don't give enough credit to his in-ring work because since coming to WWE, things have changed drastically. But that would be maybe the best theme that has come out in the past several years, Shinsuke Nakamura.
I mean, this one, every time I see this and hear this theme, I think of the meme somebody made to Vince McMahon at that old 80s thing where he just starts going, he starts dancing, because this song rips. And if you go back and look at the CFO $ making of it, they were like, we didn't really have anything until we brought the violin guy in. And if you've ever heard this song, it's all the violin, and it absolutely smacks. Yeah. But I think the best part of the entrance is Shinsuke himself, because he is vibing to it like he's having a seizure at points, and he's so into it. So you're locked into this guy the second he comes through the curtain, and he's mesmerizing, and he really is. I hate the strong style because it's like, does that mean everybody else actually doesn't hit? But when he's matched up with the right dance partner, his in-ring is as good as anyone's. So this guy is the total package. He's not Lex Luger. He's way better than him in the ring. But he is electric, and the entrance is just so unreal.
And the live, like you mentioned, it's violins too. And there's just few like instruments that just connect so well with a live audience. And like a drum solo, I think in guitar solos are two of like the number 1 and 2, like to me. But like a violin solo or a piano solo, stuff like that, especially when it comes like a wrestling and the ambient of the pageantry. Shinsuke Nakamura coming out the gate at NXT when I was there live, it was electrifying. No one ever heard his music before, and it was just a long drums to that boom, boom, boom. And they almost have a DX, like they showed the wave, whatever. PC.
I'm getting chills right now thinking of the time he came out with the single violinist, and he followed him to the ring in NXT. I'll post that. If I can find it right now and post it to the PCP account, because that is one of the best entrances that's ever been done. Like, I know I'm hyperbole, but it really is.
It really was. And then Nina Strauss, who is the guitarist for like Ozzy Osbourne and different people, played him to the ring at WrestleMania 34, which should have been much more iconic, but then WrestleManias have become like too long, too crazy. But another epic entrance with a guitar. Like he is, but you mentioned like he makes you excited. Like I think the best way to put this was my wife has gone to a lot of these events with me, which eventually next year me and Bill will be broing up in Dallas. Come find us. We are going to make it work. Masks off, pants off, OnlyFans $9.99. Search at Billy D 2411. But we are going to have such a blast because, or going back to my wife, she had such a blast watching Shinsuke because his music hits. It kind of makes you move. Like if you're a concert goer, you like music. It's not a sit still. It's not like a sitting on your hands kind of entrance. It's not the rights to censor or something like that. But this is like it hits, you kind of groove it, and then watching him and his mannerisms, everything about him, unfortunately, till the bell rings. Not that he's not a good in-ring guy, it just hasn't really happened here in America. Like, he is amazing, and he, like, sucks you. And I remember my wife just being like, who is this guy? And, like, I got to see more of him. And that was really cool. So, like, completely sucks you in, does everything I think a good wrestling entrance should do. So Shinsuke Nakamura coming in.
And one more thing real quick, his idol, because he always wears the red leather, is Michael Jackson. So he does have that in his head that I need to be the performer, not only when I'm performing, bell to bell, but even before and after.
Yeah, Destiny gives a shout. And this one we didn't even, either one of us, and not even an honorable mention, I just had to mention, Rey Mysterio That is a good.
Who's that jumping out the sky?
Yeah, and just good entrance music and just like cool entrances when he flew out. But here's somebody that talk about flying out. Another part, double week for him. He's on Dark Side of the Ring recently about him and the A&E doc series, two totally different perspectives of this man's life, his contributions to wrestling. It is, you hear the first beat of the tune, the man is 1/5 of a way down to the ring. It is the Ultimate Warrior, or as he calls himself, Warrior.
Shot out of an absolute cannon. And I will say, I like all of my friends growing up were Warrior guys. I was not. I thought he was kind of lame. I don't know why. I was a Hogan kid. But his entrance was cool, and we've all done it. We've all run down to this song, Million Miles an Hour, shaking the ropes. This is actually the original Goldberg, right? All entrance, no wrestling, way worse wrestler than Bill Goldberg, too. And that is a feat. He was not good. He had one or two moves, but he had the look, and he had the entrance, he had the song, and it was just something you'd never seen before. And it worked. It just worked at the time.
It worked because you have to remember at this time you had more plodding guys. You had guys like Hulk Hogan. You had Andre the Giants, the Jake the Snakes. Like those are some of your top end guys. And I'm not saying anything about their wrestling acumen. They're just like their entrances were just like coming out. Don't get me wrong. Hogan was a barrel of like just fury, but he wasn't running. Nobody had run like him. This is like what Bryce Harper, we were told he was going to be when he walked. He's going to run to first base.
Who's this idiot? Who was that idiot? The really horrible pitcher that like ran from the bullpen. It was John Rocker.
John Rocker.
Yeah.
He once made fun of my man boobs on Twitter. So but like that type of atmosphere though, like the Warrior would come down, like you said, grabs the rope, spins us, the fist pump before it was like talking about bros and stuff. He would just ball of energy, couple of shoulder tackles, body splash, ball game, match, and then he ran his way out of there. He is amazing. The Ultimate Warrior, regardless of again, we're talking entrances, it really is hard to beat. He could have equally have been one or equally have not been on this list just because of his, like the way people might think of him, but just so much energy and gets you jacked up. And you need something like that in the middle of a 2.5 hour, 3 hour wrestling show. Yeah,
this is one of the few lists of wrestling that he would make. He'd probably make an ultimate like gimmick character list, even though I don't know, like he's a warrior, the ultimate, whatever. But he had face paint, so good enough. And definitely entered the music in this. So shout out to the Ultimate Warrior. You know, he became. They named the Warrior Award after him. He really, became a speaker for positivity. And I think Dana Warrior still carries that on to this day.
Yep.
So
a very important thing to WWE. Still kind of strange. He has a very checkered history, but
he does.
Take all that aside. Again, you can watch The Dark Side of the Ring, which is amazing. That exploits that side, where the A&E kind of exploits more of what you just mentioned, the positive side, how he turned his life. Which, if you watch both, you kind of see a little bit of like, okay, this guy was definitely a broken man, but again, we just coming out of Mental Health Month, like definitely check in with yourself, make sure you're treating yourself right. But like this man definitely had a lot of demons and a lot of issues, and watching both back to back, you kind of see, okay, like here's where he was, like he found himself. And they kind of said that unfortunately for him, like at the end of his life at that WrestleMania, when they brought him back and finally made the agreement, you see him and Hulk Hogan, you finally hear the conversation, by the way, on the A&E doc, you hear what they had to say. And then you also got to hear him and Vince speak. And he treated Vince like a father, and it was kind of a weird relationship. So it's a really cool, definitely check those out to see a little bit more about Warrior.
So we have to address this comment from Destiny real quick. She said, my mother says Test. She loved it.
I love Test, but there's Test at one time. Like I have a handful of people in the like late 90s.
I still don't believe this.
He was one of my favorite wrestlers. He was my guy for a little bit. I was all about Test. Maybe I also love that his name was Test. I know it sounds weird. It wasn't like he was a gimmick, and I missed. That's when the gimmicks kind of started to go away.
And his tag team partner, Pop Quiz.
Well, which one? You can go Albert, of course.
No, Pop Quiz was his name.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, we'll go to honorable mentions here. Billy with his dad joke over
Smashed it.
Got me. Okay, a couple honorable mentions. We can ping back and forth if you have the list open of some of the
Yep, I do.
For me, it's The Fiend. He almost made my list. Bray Wyatt was great. Don't get me wrong. The really cool factor with the Fireflies, the whole crowd getting in. But The Fiend brought it to the next level with the horrifying lamp, if you will, of Bray Wyatt's face, his cool, dark nature of his mask, the lighting of everything, the slow build to let me in. And again, the Fireflies were involved with the crowd. So The Fiend with an honorable mention.
Yeah, I'd say Bray Wyatt definitely could have made my list if he had stayed Bray Wyatt. The Fiend's been such an odd character and had such an odd arc that it kind of ruined it for me, and I don't think of him fondly, so he didn't pop into mind straight away when I thought of this. My guy, Bobby Roode. To me, one of the better, he is a good wrestler. He's like the Triple H light, right? He can do everything. He sells really well. He's got that bulldog forehead that's really wrinkly, handsome dude, but he's all entrance right now, but I think he is a better wrestler, but he just really hasn't shown it at this level. Beer Money obviously was great, but the Glorious, I was obsessed and still am. I listen to that at the gym quite often. It's a phenomenal song, and him spinning on the Lazy Susan thing. It doesn't get much better than that. And when I saw it live for the first time at that NXT and everybody screams out Glorious, that is fun. Crowd participation in an entrance is always an A+.
Yeah, and pulling it off as a heel, I think it's bonus points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Having a likable entrance and being a heel. The NWO, another one of those kind of just iconic, slow build-up, the meltdown of the screen, the guitar playing as Hogan comes out holding his belt, Hall, Nash, the originals. It is just awesome. The music is killer. The look, the guys just, they oozed of coolness, charisma.
And machismo, obviously.
Tons of machismo. Just pouring out of them, oozing out of them, almost as much as you right now, Bill. But they were phenomenal at their entrance and just looked cool. Again, the whole thing walking down, people were throwing stuff at them at times. It's just the NWO was as good as it gets, I think, as well over there with WCW.
Another one here, and I had this guy at 7 to start my list, Batista, and then he kind of bumped his way back. But his slap of the leg and the machine gun, and there's a great video of when he returns against, I believe it's Triple H semi-recently, of Xavier Woods being like I would, mimicking his entrance behind the curtain, because he obviously watched him growing up. And when he does the slap of the legs and the machine gun across, it is phenomenal. That song is great. So obviously you can see his charisma to this day. He's a pretty big actor now, even though he was in that terrible new Zack Snyder movie.
Never watched it yet. Dead Zombie, Army of Dead. Dead.
It got terrible reviews, so.
I'll check it out. You know me. I'll probably be my favorite movie. But I will say that, yes, he was higher on my list. Obviously, you bumped off of yours, but his entrance, another one, electrifying. And his mannerisms, as you mentioned, that match, that was his retirement match from WrestleMania 35, where Kofi, standing in MetLife Stadium, just mimicking, just like I was in my seats and stands with all the other sweaty, overweight wrestling fans. It was awesome. Another one here, Kane. Just early Kane with the long, drawn-out red and black sky, and then the explosion, and his slow walk down the ring. Horrifying. Horrifying was Kane. Obviously, there's no doubt in our minds that you're going to be getting somebody very much like him.
A brother, if you will.
Potentially, a brother from another mother. But it just scary, terrifying, just entrance you. You had to all eyes on him because it was pitch black in the arena as well. Very cool entrance. Kane, an honorable mention.
Yeah, and great costuming as well for Kane throughout his career. Even when he lost the mask, he still always looks pretty good. And then this one, I was a little disappointed it didn't make the list. I forget exactly where it ranked on mine, but to this day, it's still mocked. Conor McGregor claims it's his, but the Vinnie Mac entrance, the No Chance in Hell, what an entrance song. The way it starts. And then when Vince McMahon comes out just swinging his arms, no chance. And I think one of the greatest entrances, and I don't even think they use his song, but it's just his vibe. I remember where I was. We were in my mother's house, in my bedroom, probably early 20s. He comes out in New Orleans when the Saints go marching in because they beat DX, and his hands are just flailing along. And it wasn't even his song, but it's just the way he enters, the way he possesses a ring. And he's the owner of the company, legitimately the owner of the company, and he has the most swag you've ever seen in your life.
Seriously, he was drip before drip was drip. Mm-hmm. It's incredible. You're right. Vince McMahon, that entrance is iconic. It was not in a gift for a long time, and then finally now it's very popular. You obviously, most people, anytime they talk about leaving work on a Friday, and you get the crazy Vince. Incredible. And the last honorable mention kind of has a little bit of Warrior to him, has the Hogan to him with the sing along, and then has like HBK sings his theme song. It is John Cena. John Cena, again, iconic. the nod of the troops,
Abadoo!
headbands, the Joe Benevento. He is everything and more when it comes to an entrance. John Cena, runs to the ring, slides almost a little Billy Gunn in his slide as well.
I always feel like he's gonna chest bump it one day. Like once he gets old, because he comes out like a bat out of hell, and he does that thing where he hits the ropes. It's he flings the hat into the crowd. It's a great entrance, and Destiny brings up even Word Life, Basic Thugonomics. Those guys who are at the tippy top, like the all-time performers, they know how to control a crowd. So even they know the little things they can do in their entrance to kind of tweak the crowd to get them going a little bit more. So John Cena added a few things. He added the tip of the cap, the hat, the towel.
Weird.
Everything about it was electric.
And so now we hit the Mount Rushmore portion of the top 11. Just to quickly give you a recap, if you're just potting in: Edge at 11, Finn Balor 10, 9, DX 8, Goldberg, Shawn Michaels 7, Shinsuke Nakamura at 6, Ultimate Warrior at 5. Number 4 maybe could go down as one of the greatest of all time just for innovation and continuing to up his game. But his entrance, I think when it comes to WWE early stages, one of the greatest of all time. It is Chris Jericho.
Break down the walls of Jericho. Probably the greatest build in recent wrestling. Maybe definitely the best debut build ever. You had the Y2J clock, and when you figured out, okay, by hours, it wasn't going to end in New Year's Eve.
It was hot.
It was a weird day, not even on that day. And then his entrance with the countdown and even the way he did the arms out and the spin. He could control a crowd, and you're right. He changed it throughout his career. He did so many different entrances throughout his career, but I think this is the one that is synonymous with Chris Jericho, and it should be because it's his best entrance.
Yeah, the arms out, the turn, the pony, the wear it here, ponytails for years. Eventually, one of the most iconic ones, the night after he won at Vengeance, the 2 titles, and he turned, he had both belts on his arms. Looked awesome, held on to forever again. The Walls of Jericho is part of the theme, as you said, breakdown. Then even later when he had the changing of Save Us Y2J and the jacket, all of it still to that theme, that build to the arms out. It's just an iconic silhouette that you don't really have. It's almost like the NBA logo in a sense of wrestling, because you just have that iconic look with the arm fully out.
It truly is, yeah.
When you see it, Chris Jericho, that is it. That was another word he got over because he got everything over.
He got everything over. My favorite ever was You Just Made the List, and I always wanted to make a commercial for what is it, the massmoney.com? You're on the list. I wanted him to do it. You just made the list.
He talked about it when he was on with Stone Cold, how clicking of the pen, just the delay of clicking the pen got the whole crowd to whoa, and then he click it and they go bonkers and he'd scream, "You just made the list." He also made it. He would say the word it, and he would get over. Coming in at number 3, and we talked about it, DX made the list. Shawn Michaels made the list. This was your number 1. I had him a little bit lower just based on some of my thought process with some of these others. But iconic through and through, evolving year after year when it came to the character of the game. Triple H coming in at number 3.
And the reason I gave him number 1 is because this is the most mimicked one I've ever done. And a lot of people do the spit. I think Joel Embiid has done it. Huge wrestling fan. I did this on the Unreasonable Odds podcast too, just the spit up and the spit forward. But even before that, just the way he walks out, he owns the ring. And, they call him the game. He's the king of psychology. And he just knows, he can control a crowd from start to finish. And it's a long entrance, even when it's not a WrestleMania entrance. He's had a couple of lame WrestleMania ones, but he's also had, besides the tank for Rusev, some of the greatest WrestleMania entrances of all time as well. He's had a million different songs. They all work for him. He could come out to Yakety Sax and it would still work because he's Triple H. And, name one good Triple H match you've ever seen. That's a Bret Hart quote. You know what? I don't necessarily think I can, other than a few Undertaker ones. But you know what I can do? That's an exaggeration, obviously. But you know what I can do? Talk about his entrance for hours on end, because I think it is the best. It's just so good. Everybody knows the spit. That is so fucking cool. And it looks great in a dark arena with that mist. I do it in the shower every day.
Yeah, it's a spotlight right on him. Because the thing is, he doesn't spit it like for a while. He used to do the spit up.
Well,
right?
he does up and out. He does both.
That's what I mean. Then he does like the second. It's kind of like Goldberg earlier we mentioned with like the mist coming in his nose and blows out the smoke. Just it brings so much to an entrance, and it made it iconic. And I have to believe that was not the original idea. It wasn't like Triple H. I'm going to walk down with a water bottle and like spit, and that was like. In video games, you wanted to be Triple H because you wanted to just watch the entrance. Like that was something really cool. And Triple H to this day, when he gets in the ring, there's nothing better. Everyone gets involved with it. The music and just like it, like we already said, time to play the game. Another one, just it hits in stadiums. It works. You hear that and you go, oh, here we go. Like everyone just lifts out of your seat because you know the cool. Even when he just steps over in the front and just blinks, like he just like all the lights blinking like underneath him, just awesome. So now we get to our top two here, Bill. And this one, I bet when people came in, we're like, we'll see. Because I'll be honest with you, this is as iconic, I think, of an entrance from the late 90s that you probably wouldn't come right to mind. You think of, obviously the Jerichos, even like a Stone Cold. It did not make this list. We didn't even mention honorable mentions, which that was a little bit of a shame. But obviously, we know it.
Yeah, I think I had him on my list. It's great. Glass breaks, boots, fucking
just
tights and vest, storms the ring, hits all four posts, done. Same thing with The Rock, kind of.
Yeah,
just boom.
The music is, I think, I would put is like obviously I think Stone Cold won our 64 bracket last year. But
it's not as like it's a great entrance, but it's more the wrestlers selling the entrance. Like you just want to see Stone Cold, you just want to see The Rock.
Yeah, they could have came out to me farting and you'd be excited. But this one, if they came out to me farting, I would think it would have been one of the greatest things ever. But unfortunately not. The Ring of Fire, they rise from underneath. Edge earlier, also two. So Edge, HBK, and Triple H all on this list twice. The Brood.
Oh, what?
And just, again, early ambiance. And like that weird backwards speak. I forget what it said now. I think it was like, I don't know, it was like the whole Paul is dead, turn me on, dead man, but like awesome. And then as they rose up and the goblet that
Gangrel Health,
and then just the beat, Bill. The beat is
boom, boom, boom,
and the way they walk over again, all in red. The
fire. They're coming up from the ground. You can't see them. They're using the same trapdoor that Rey Mysterio, I'm sure, would use with the spring load. Years later, just comes up from nowhere. On fire, steps out of the fire, comes down, spits blood. It's just so fucking cool. It was in the Attitude Era. You had all these guys like Austin, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, and then you had vampires. And it was so cool. And I didn't care that I was watching vampires as like a 15-year-old kid wrestling vampires. And it was awesome.
And it was I Buried Paul. Was that backwards? A shout out to Paul is Dead from Revolution #9 by the Beatles. So the Brood, but again, like you just watch those guys again, they looked cool. They had vampires, the spookiness, all these elements, and as a part of it, I know it's not technically part of the entrance, but you knew when they hit, just like Triple H with the water, there was going to be a bloodbath. Like that was everything. So that's with him walking down with the, again with the cup, and you had Christian and Edge, and they all looked just spooky. It was a little terrifying. It reminds me like Kane to the next level because Kane was like that, like Michael Myers character. You felt like you could run away. Where this is like the Lost Boys, where like you can run, but we'll get you, and we're gonna suck your blood, and it's gonna be terrifying.
Yeah, I just love that so much. I remember just being entranced by it as a kid. It was just so cool. The music, everything about their entrance. They were wearing the puffy shirts from Seinfeld. It was awesome.
It really was. And like, if you look at it in some context, it looks stupid, right? But again, this is one put in video games. Always wanted to see the Brood's entrance. Triple H was on there. And then coming in at our number one.
It had to be number one. I couldn't give him my number one because it's the opposite of, how I do. It's just too long.
I get it. The Undertaker. I don't care if you're watching Raw from 1994, you're watching WrestleMania in 2014. His entrance gets you every time. It was, again, it has a spooky element to it. And again, experience it live. You are ported to when you first saw The Undertaker. I'm talking like 2 years ago when we finally had crowds are coming back now. But like when you saw him, it was just, holy crap, here's The Undertaker. You stand up, you're watching, where's he coming? How's it going to work? He's done it all. The gong, when you hear that, it sends shivers down your spine, goosebumps on your arm, and you know you're about to see one of the most iconic characters in wrestling history.
I mean, I was The Undertaker for 3 or 4 straight Halloweens, gray, purple, gray. And he's the best character ever, like the best character wrestler that will ever be. I don't think he'll ever be topped. He's an Undertaker. That's ridiculous, but they sold it so well, even from his first entrance ever, with no music, just walking to the ring. His presence sold it all. Him putting the hands up to put the lights on. Yeah. It was just so nuanced as it kept going on. And even him as the American badass was great. Came out, Kid Rock or Limp Bizkit, whatever it was, it worked. Drove the motorcycle around the ring. Never broke character. Always in character. There's a picture of him with his mom in like the early 90s, and he's just giving the dead man stare. Like everything about this guy worked. Yeah, he roll his eyes back into his head to start, before the match even started in the entrance. So everything about it, I had him 2 on my list. So it's not like I did him any disservice. It is probably the greatest, but some of the WrestleMania entrances were like 12 minutes. Not even like kidding. They were like 12 minutes.
There was a lot of those over-unders on like betting websites that you would like, what's going to be longer?
It was like the national anthem, but it was like, 11, 12.
It's like 6 minutes. One of them was 6 minutes. I remember one time they said. But yeah, again, and then like you mentioned, not only lifting the lights, takes the hat off, takes the cloak off, everything.
The garb too. Back in the day when he had, so I did it 1 year. My mom really went all out. We figured out how to do the tie.
Yes.
So basically, you get a real tie and you just like deconstruct it, and that gives you like the
color,
whatever the hell. No, like that giant look to it.
Oh, I get it.
Because he had like the weird like triple wide tie.
It was the opposite of the Donald Trump tie.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But yeah, the most iconic, I think, the best entrance in wrestling history. Fight us, at us. It is The Undertaker. So, Bill, I think that's a really good list. Obviously, people can have their arguments about some of the things we potentially could have missed, but I think we hit it all.
I think we did it all. I mean, The Rock and the Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, the Stone Cold Steve Austin. They were probably the only 2 on this list that I'm like, should they be 11 and 10? But like, they aren't about the entrance, really. Like Stone Cold's, I would say, is better than The Rock's. But, yeah. I mean, I think we nailed this list. The Brood deserves to be that high. Triple H deserves to be that high. We didn't pull a Mr. Perfect here. We nailed it. Even though Mr. Perfect's entrance is good as well.
Yeah, but the gum spit in the smack would be it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'll be out on my mind, though.
Billy Boy, concerts are back.
Everything's back.
Everything is back. You're back.
Backstreet's back.
We're getting Todd back. We have the Foo Fighters and Rage Against the Machine announcing they're going to be headlining Boston Calling next year, which people are traveled to. It will be back. Tickets are available now. That got me excited. Just to think of like, oh wait, like concerts. Like I'm pumped. I love concerts. Love live events.
All right, I'm going to remind you once again. I don't call in favors. I think I've called in 2 so far. I need the My Chemical Romance tickets whenever they're back live.
We'll do that.
Because I need that. And I want you to come with me because I don't think anybody else I know will come with me. But concerts are back. I'm super excited. And if it was anything like the Saturday night experience at the Greatest Bar, we got there at 3 o'clock to get seats. And we got the last table in the place.
You were there at 3 p.m.?
For an 8 o'clock Bruins game.
What time did you go home?
I went home like a vet in the middle of the 3rd period because everybody else was waiting for Ubers till whenever in the morning.
Dude, wild. Mm-hmm. All right, I got to be out for a night like that soon. Speaking of hockey, you went out for a hockey game. Bill, did you see that Creed performed at the Predators game?
I did. Yes, Predators all the way.
Dude, that was amazing to me. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Right up there, right below there, obviously Thanksgiving Dallas game. But they performed a corridor area of the Predators Canes playoff game and using what song to play? My Sacrifice, which we just did a whole thing about wrestling. That was like one of the most used wrestling like montage songs in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you bring up Creed at this point, that's just like a shot in the arm to your team. So I just think that's a great idea.
Good for them, even though the Canes beat them in the series. Also,
do they really? I have no idea.
Yeah, that's okay. You just doesn't matter. They helped in that game. It is Pride Month, so happy Pride Month to all people. I did see. I think it's officially LBTQ. Did I say all the proper?
LBGTQ.
Right. Thank you. You did it. I didn't, and that's how to really fail. But yeah, huge. Obviously, all of June. So shout out there. Obviously, we're both Pelotoners. It's a ton of stuff on Peloton, ton of stuff everywhere. A lot of companies getting in. I think it's a really good sign of bringing us all together and everyone being all on the same page and appreciating. Love is love, man. Also, going the total opposite direction. But I don't know if you saw this.
Okay.
Hilarious. And I got to tweet this out. I found this on a random website. Someone on Google Maps spotted a satellite image of a plot of land in Salt Lake City. So think of what you think of Salt Lake City.
Utah.
Yep. Where someone mowed the B word into the grass and added an arrow pointing directly at someone's house.
So like female dog?
Bitch. And it has an arrow. So if you take a satellite shot of this area of Salt Lake City, I love it. I love the move.
So I would do that on Farmville and send it to people because, like, way back in the day, you could like spell out stuff with your like haystacks. So I would do it for not a friend of the podcast, probably Jess Dong. I would spell out like bitch and send it to her in Farmville haystacks. So yeah, that's an ultimate like slam. That's like a crop circle for calling somebody the B word.
That's hilarious. But yeah, in real life, they did that. And I'll send you the image. We can tweet that out as well. Bill, anything you've been watching recently that's been catching your eye to speak of?
No, I haven't had a chance to really watch much of anything. But I will say, Jason, do you know we're in a meatball renaissance?
I don't know. What the hell's going on with the meatballs? Every 5 minutes, you're going to restaurants, you're going to dates, you're ordering a goddamn meatball sandwich. I almost wanted to text you and say, stop it. Stop the bleeding. But tell me.
So our guy, Morty Meatballs from our Madden league, he was, I don't know, he just ordered a meatball sub one day and it caught on like wildfire. So we all started ordering meatball subs. I've had probably 4 or 5 meatball subs in the since the podcast. It all started like kind of right after the podcast. So I went on a first date and I asked our group, actually, the DSG chat, I was like, I'm going to
nice place.
A nice steakhouse. Del Frisco's on the water. And I was like, should I ask if they can make me a meatball sub? And I believe our boy Goose said, well, you have to try. And unprovoked, the lady that I was on the date with said, ooh, we should get the meatballs here. They're really good. So I proceeded to tell her the meatball story. And I was like, I actually asked the chat, should I order a meatball sub? And she's like, you have to. So to me, that was a good sign on the date. And she was like, all right, well, honestly, the funniest part about this date, when she showed up, Seinfeld-esque, and I'll give her credit, she just goes, you know what? I don't remember your name.
Dig that. Already like her.
I was like,
are we still in a continuation or is that?
We're going on a second date tomorrow.
All right, baby. You're going to get another meatball sub.
Yeah. Well, no. You know what? Yeah. Yeah, we might. But
if that becomes your thing, like the two of you order meatball subs.
The best part about ordering the meatball sub, the lady was like, I don't know if we can. We don't really have bread. So they made it on the bread that they give you when you sit down. The chef who made it brought it out like it was the tomahawk and like presented it to us and said, is this good? And you know what it was? It was amazing.
And shout out to the chef. Shout out to all the chefs out there making meatball subs. Probably made that guy's life, Bill.
You know what? Honestly, he seemed happy about it, which I was shocked by.
Well, one thing, I haven't had a meatball sandwich in a while. Now I'm probably going to have to. I guess I have to go with the trend, right? Do I buck against or do I follow in?
All right, so 2 things to know. You can never have a bad meatball sub. It's like pizza. At the worst, it's going to be good.
Okay.
Because it's meatball, cheese, and sauce. It's basically a pizza.
It's everything. It's everything that life is. It's bread, it's cheese, it's sauce, it's meat. We're good.
So the thing you have to know, get sauce on the side in case they don't put enough in the sub.
Do the dunk.
Do the dunk.
That's like grilled cheese with the tomato soup style, like that.
Also, side note, I have perfected not only the egg sandwich, the bacon, egg, and cheese during the quarantine, make them like it's a habit now every day. I've also perfected the tuna fish sandwich. Just
melt or just tuna fish sandwich?
Just tuna fish sandwich, but like the key is barbecue sauce on both the egg and the tuna fish sandwich.
So basically, barbecue sauce is the key.
Yes.
To unlocking greatness in this world is barbecue sauce. Now, do you go with GU's sugar-free?
No, God.
I got to get you in on that. That must be nice to have good metabolism. So one thing I've been watching, and I can tell you barbecue sauce would really help, is this Mare of Easttown. You've heard about it. Everyone's talked about it, right?
I need an HBO login, so if you have one, send it.
I got it. I got you. I'll send it to you. It's not mine, but I'm going to give it to you because this show, Bill, I need antidepressants after I'm done.
Really? That bad?
By far the most depressing show ever created on television for a short series. There is.
Have you seen The Leftovers?
Most of it, I didn't finish it.
Okay.
So maybe that may have gone, but there was like some like levity in there. There was moments of levity. This show is
not in the first season.
Yeah, but later there was like little jokes, and you know what? Actually, they're very comparable. I guess you could say. But this show, literally after each episode, like my wife, and I think that it's also watching with my wife, who's a very emotional watcher. Like, when she like, I am too. But like when I buy into something, I'm in. Right. This show, literally, I'm like, what the hell? Something good needs to happen. I need to laugh. I'm back on The Office just because of this show. I'm all in on the cock, which we can talk about. Maybe next week I'll save my thoughts on where The Office went wrong because I'm definitely in it, and it's hard to watch at this point. But Mare of Easttown, very good show. I understand a lot of people will say that this is a good show and probably really like Kate Winslet. The performances are great, but it is so damn depressing. Again, the killing, I'll take it over Mare of Easttown. That's what I'll say. But I really want you to check it out. It's just it's heavy, dude. You're like, no. Like there's moments when you're watching the show and you're like, this can't, no. But then everything's
so I like it. I listened to Dork until the parts that they got the review, and Mac and Goo didn't do that. Obviously, this week they did Aliens, but we'll get to that. Yeah. So I didn't listen to any spoilers for it because I want to see it.
Yeah, don't.
Because Sunday Night HBO and Mac, who's a tough TV critic, was like, it's my favorite TV show in years. So if he says that, and I like a lot of the stuff that he likes, I'm going to like this show.
Mac must just love that depressions. I like it is.
If it's done right. If it's done right.
It is. Like
I like that.
I give it a hard time because literally, like, it's hard to watch. Like when I was binging it, like when we last spoke, I watched like 3 in a row, and I was like, I don't think I can like have these emotions in my life. Like I need to chill. It is heavy, dude. It is.
Well, that's why like a lot of my favorite books, like my favorite book of all time, 2 of them. What?
Green Eggs and Ham with barbecue sauce?
That's a good one. But I like A Separate Piece where the main character dies tragically and his best friend actually kills him. But like it feels like, not that I'm going to kill my best friend, but like it feels real. And I like stuff where they're not afraid to kill the characters, and it feels like you're making the choices and the decisions and things are happening like they would happen in real life. Like not everything's sunny in Philadelphia. So that's why I like stuff like that that's like dark, disturbed, and it feels real.
Oh, you got to watch Black Mirror then. You got to get in on that.
Oh, I love Black Mirror, yeah.
Yeah, that show's another one that gets you sometimes. I like to spin it. We're going to spin it positive before we get out of here as well. Bill, a couple in Los Angeles went around to different Target stores and hid cash in packs of diapers to help out new parents.
That is phenomenal.
They said the total amount that they would put in $1,000. $1,000. Imagine me going
pack of diapers.
Me going to get JJ's diapers, ripping open a pack, and there's 1,000 smacks in there for me. Think about all the meatball subs we could have then.
A lot.
You could. Also, another one. This is a really cool story. Owner of a movie theater in Southern California decided to renovate while they were closed for COVID. Which, by the way, movie theaters are back. I got to go sooner or later. I don't know when, but I have to. I really miss the theater. And they said an employee ended up finding a wallet that a woman had lost there 46 years ago. So imagine like a Somerville theater for us. I'm sure you all, wherever you're listening, have that like dreary old theater. They said it had a bunch of photos in it along with some poetry and an old Grateful Dead ticket. And they managed to track down the lady and they returned it to her last week.
Holy shit. So at the youngest, she's probably like 62, right? If she was like 16 and lost it, but probably older. So she's probably in her 70s or 80s and got a wallet back that she lost nearly a half a century ago. That's legitimately banana land great. That's phenomenal.
That literally, when I read that story, I'm like, I gotta bring it. This is. I was telling my wife about it Dan earlier. It was awesome. That is, those stories get me. Like, it makes me think of anything I've lost in the past. Maybe one day, truly will come back.
Shared Universe.
Alrighty, so Dork, as we talked about, did the Mayor of Easttown. Macangoo did the 1989 classic Aliens. CMC did New England Memorial Day, and I gotta tell you, I watched it because they were on during the afternoon.
Yeah.
And you and I, like, you crushed it. You had the best one by far. I did like a nice little video package, but everybody else kind of mailed it in. I think Goo sent in a video, and he was, I think, the only other one from the DSG to do it.
So
and then
very quickly, I got a text from Wes, and he was like, "Awesome job!" And he's very.
It was great.
And I'm just like, "Oh, haha!" Like sarcasm. I had to do it like 8 times because I sent it on Twitter, so I had to keep it a certain length. Then I realized I emailed him. Long story short, very complimentary, and I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Good mic work, good read, good." I'm like, "What are we talking about here?" Like,
I loved it. I loved it. I thought I crushed mine. Then I saw yours first, and I was like, "Oh, you should play mine first." Great. We crushed it. Goo did a pretty good job. Nobody else in the DSG really chipped in, especially Fryer, and he's on the goddamn podcast. So, moving right along here, TLDR talked books. I've heard it both ways. We got stuff up on Spotify. We're going to try and get it up on all the other podcasts very soon.
We'll get that done this week.
We'll figure out that. So all the episodes should be up by the end of the week, and we'll have one on Thursday night for you. And then Get Help, a Loki podcast. I finished that logo today. Took a lot.
Get Help?
Yeah.
That's what we got it. Well, they got it down to?
Yes.
What's a tie-in? Can you tell me?
So it's one of the gimmicks from, I forget which movie, but it's like the.
Oh, he says the line, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're going to do Get Help. Oh, I don't want to do Get Help. So it's a pretty good name. I would have preferred Time Cops because it's the same amount of characters, but the characters translate better for the letters they used. It's complicated. When you see the logo, you'll find out. And then our streamers, they be streaming Shine Time, always on, Arvon D, and then, of course, Dr. Joe, who, honestly, go check out his Instagram, because if you ever played Call of Duty, even at the lowest level, like, he just went on a run to get a dub, which they call a win. As, you know, James Winston would say, eat a dub. Just destroyed people in it. Yeah. Eat the dub. It was impressive. So
what's
shout out to Dr.
what's his Instagram? You gotta give him.
It's probably Backcracker. I think he unified it across all.
Okay, Backcracker. Yeah, he changed a lot of. I remember that. That was a big thing like 7 months ago. And he's like, "All right, guys, I gotta change it. Should it be?"
Unified hashtag or handle.
Love it a lot. Again, you can check all that stuff out over on Facebook with the Dork Shared Gooniverse. You can check out this video of our podcast if you're listening to us on YouTube. Subscribe on iTunes. Please do leave a 5-star review. It goes so far to help us out. Billy D, what? Any final words for the people before we get the heck out of here?
Hashtag Summer of Meatballs.
Oh, with a question mark?
Or Meatball Summer, I forget.
Ooh, Meatball Summer.
I think it's Meatball Summer.
Meatball Summer. Hashtag it. Go order yourself a meatball sub. Let us know what you think. There really is the Renaissance. I thought it was about, speaking of Loki, I thought it was Owen Wilson. Now it's the meatballs. I got to stay with the trend. So I think I got to go get me a meatball sub this week. I'll figure out where. It doesn't matter where. Anywhere, right? No such thing.
Yeah, it's tough to make a bad meatball sub.
Good to know. All right. Again, check out all of our Dork Shared Gooniverse podcasts. And again, you can find him at Billy D2411. I'm at Jason D. Ross. You can check out this show at Pop Culture PD. We appreciate you guys listening. Always being here, being front and center, smiling through everything, drinking all that water. Enjoy the rest of whatever you're doing as soon as this podcast ends. Frank says hi.